What is up, guys? This is me, Johnny Cooper64 here with another YouTube video, and just 2 days ago we got a leak from the Gamer Revolution where he tweeted this on Twitter, which I already made a video on with the full details, so go watch it. It will be in the description below, but I will give you a quick summary. He's a well-known leaker on the Call of Duty community who's leaked games right before, and this is the first time he's done a Crash Bandicoot leak. So he leaked that there's a PvP Crash game coming soon and a Wrath of Cortex remaster. The PvP game can be anything like a racing game, party game, or fighting game. It basically means like a player versus player game. Well, 2 days have passed and we finally get an update. So on Twitter, people were angered and confused due to it being a Wrath of Cortex remaster. They didn't get it, because it didn't correlate with the leaks we previously saw from Sabi and also the PlayStation ad with the mask. So they reached out to the Gamer Revolution and asked them if it was a 1-to-1 full remaster of the game like the Insane Trilogy or a reimagining like the Ratchet & Clank game on PS4. He replied saying he'll ask, and then he replied saying, I asked and they just said it's 100% Crash 4, not anything else, without really specifying any parts that if it's a reimagined or not. So notice how he said it's 100% Crash 4. I think Gamer Revolution searched up Crash 4 and saw Wrath of Cortex, because it's the 4th installment in the Crash series, and with the whole masks being a thing for the new Crash game, and I guess he found that on the wiki page, the masks being a thing and also the source he was getting it with, and he thought it was a remaster of Wrath of Cortex. And yes, I know Wrath of Cortex is technically Crash 4 because it is the 4th installment, but many people have begged for a real Crash 4, not a carbon copy of Crash 3 with lots of vehicle levels, which was that of Wrath of Cortex. It seems that Activision took a note of that and told their developers to greenlit that idea. But this isn't all, folks. The Gamer Revolution later went on with this on Twitter. He said, all I know is that it's 100% called Crash 4 and it is slated to be the next Crash game. Maybe it's actually a new Crash 4 game then. And then he said this. Update on this, I think I jumped the gun on the Wrath of Cortex remaster and it may actually be a new Crash 4 installment. And there you have it, folks. It is definitely a misinterpretation from Gamer Revolution, and I don't blame him. It's his first time doing Crash leaks, so he seems not to know much about the game's history, but he does know a lot about his Call of Duty history though. It's not a remaster of the Wrath of Cortex, and I know this because Activision won't jump the ship and do another remaster, especially on the worst installment in the main timeline Crash game. I thought it might have sold well, due to it being on the PS2. It wasn't received well by the fans, and knowing how game critics are these days, the game will have bombed and received a low rating. So instead, they greenlighted a new installment, a new Crash game. Finally, it's been more than 10 years since a new platform Crash game. But now, here's where Crash fans will be divided. This new Crash game is going to retcon every game from the main timeline series. Any game after Crash 3 does not exist. Wrath of Cortex does not exist. Twinsanity does not exist. Titans and Mind Over Matter games do not exist. This new installment is the true Crash 4, which I've talked about and predicted years ago when the Insane Trilogy came out. I made multiple videos on this. I knew they were going to try to do a true Crash 4 to fix the Crash world where it went down. Wrath of Cortex hurt the series, causing a curve. Twinsanity tried to help, but didn't sell well. Titans reshaped the series, but it divided the fans due to it being very different from what the series was. I won't count the spin-offs like Nitro Fuel or Tag Team Racing because those aren't part of the main series. So yeah, lots of you guys will be pissed that Twinsanity is no longer canon. Well, you can say it is canon, but in the original timeline. But the original timeline is now finished with Mind Over Mutant, and now we're in the new Insane timeline. For those who might still be confused, the remastered Crash 1, 2, and 3 are the new timeline. And you can add Nitro Fuel there if Activision decides to make that canon. And with the new installment being Crash 4, it will continue after the 3rd installment, Crash 3. So this also means that characters like Crunch, Nina, the Evil Twins will have to be introduced again, since the games they were introduced are now retconned. But Johnny... And with the story, they might do something about Cortex and Entropy being a baby, because the thing is, with the Naughty Dog game, they've always had a story that flowed within each game. So I bet the beginning of the game will have something to do with baby Cortex and baby Entropy. And while they might know the fans will become upset with the retcons, they will introduce the characters again in the main series like Crunch. Crunch might be in the new game as an antagonist turned good guy, so in a way it's going to have elements from Wrath of Cortex introduced, but this time it will be written well that it flows well from its predecessor, along with building the future installments. At least you all still saw the post Naughty Dog characters in Nitro, and you'll see them reintroduced again in the new main game, with more new well-established backgrounds and history for these characters. At least we know that these characters are coming, because you know, if they weren't, they wouldn't have introduced them in Nitro. I trust them since the series was fucked with it getting thrown developer by developer as new games went on, but here we have a developer team that communicates with other developers, which are all owned by Activision, so it will no longer be thrown like a ragdoll. And to be honest, I'm thankful that it's a true Crash 4. I want the series to have a new fresh start where they can rebuild the world again, this time right. Now here's one last update on the Gamer Revolution. The game is almost finished with its development and will be very much be able to be released around fall or winter of this year, 2020. Also, this is an update on the PvP Crash game. The Crash PvP game is still in its early days and is expected to release in 2021. A thought cool change, it will also be available on console, PC, and mobile. So I wonder how this will work, you know, since it's being released on mobile. But, you know, I mean, it is a multiplayer game. What do you guys think of this? Are you guys okay with the series getting retcon after Crash 3? Or are you guys pissed at this? Let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys.